Good afternoon, traders. I hope you're all having a very good weekend. We put together this video here because we've been getting a lot of interest in the mentoring program, and we've been getting a lot of queries as well. So we thought, as opposed to answering all of the emails individually, we get all of the questions together and put together this video so that we can just send it out to everybody who's potentially having, similar questions, even if you don't know that you're having them yet. And really look to get you all on board and make you feel comfortable about the program and answer any questions obviously that you have about it. Okay, so as I said, we've collected together all of the frequently asked questions, the most common emails that we're getting in here, and hopefully we can go some way to answering them for you. So do you want to go?
Yeah, the first question is, there are going to be some sessions that I cannot attend. Will this have an effect on my overall experience with the mentor program? The short answer is no, because every webinar will be recorded, so you can watch it whenever you like. And you can rewatch it whenever you like, so that won't be an issue. There are some benefits to being able to turn up to the webinar live because you can ask questions, you can interact with our community, you can see how things progress and kind of really get involved. But if you can't make it live, you definitely have the recordings to fall back on, so that's not an issue.
Yeah, so it's by no means something that you have to do. Obviously, it would be nice to see you there on the webinars, as Nikki just said. But if you can't attend, or if you have to miss one or two, then you're definitely not going to suffer as a result of that, because we'll do everything in our power to make sure that you get all of that content down, which is the most important thing there.
Yep. The second question is, what sort of returns can I hope to make?
So this is a really difficult question to answer because it really depends. There are so many different factors that have an impact here. So, what's your risk profile? Are you somebody that's particularly aggressive? Are you looking to take, a small account and grow into something quite large and take, more risk than somebody who's putting their retirement plan into this, so they've got, quite a sizable account perhaps, and they're not looking to make triple digits every year. They just want to make maybe 20-30% with very little risk. So that it really depends on what your risk profile is, and what's driving you here. But what I will say is that we typically aim for about 25% per year, and that's unleveraged. Okay, so that's 25% per year, but we utilize sort of 4-to-1 leverage, between 4 and 6-to-1 leverage across our entire portfolio. So 25% per year unleveraged. Obviously, then when you're applying the leverage of 4-to-1, you're looking at somewhere around the triple digits each year. Now that's sort of what we're looking to grind out year on year. Obviously, on top of that, you can have those big trades, those home run trades that really sort of push your portfolio up there. But as I said, it's not something that we can guarantee. It's a very difficult question to answer. But hopefully telling you what we look for on an annual basis will help you some way to discovering what you could achieve from it.
Yep. Okay. The third question is, does everyone automatically get allocated funds, and what is the situation with the FCA?
Okay, so first of all, they're going to be our funds. So if you've been reading the emails, you'll see that one of the things that we're looking to do with Traders Corner is really complete the cycle. So we want to teach people to trade. We then want to be able to fund them and give them money to trade with. Now, this isn't a completely selfless act, all right? So the idea from a Traders Corner perspective is that we want to take this business onto the next level. Maybe look at starting a prop firm or perhaps, a hedge fund sometime down the line. And what we want to be able to do is have more than just my brother and I doing all of the investments. We want to be able to diversify our risk across different traders, across different markets, all of that kind of good stuff, and different trade ideas. So in terms of will everybody get funds automatically? Unfortunately not. I wish I could say that we'd give you funds just for the sake of it. But in reality, we're looking for people to follow the rules. Okay, so that's one of the criteria you'll be looking for, or will be looking for. You need to follow the rules that we're giving you. You need to be responsible in terms of the way that you're applying risk. So we don't want people that are going too gung-ho because it's going to be our money that's going to be at risk then. We obviously don't want to lose that. So ultimately, I think all in all, we're looking for someone to trade and invest responsibly over a period of time and basically prove to us that they're ready to handle money. And when we give them money, they'd be responsible with that. You don't have to be be super profitable in that time. You just need to demonstrate that you're coming up with different trade ideas, not original trade ideas based on the framework that we give you. So we don't necessarily want you just copying what we're doing and saying, oh, they're in that, so I'll look at that. Because in the long run, that has no real benefit to us. Okay, so as I said, it's not a completely selfless act. In the long run, we're going to look at that as other forms of our income stream, different traders investing our money in different markets, and that way we feel that we'll be diversified. And obviously, if people are just copying exactly what we're doing trade for trade, there's no real benefit there. So it's a give and take in that situation.
Yeah, I think what's important is that we see you clearly understand the concepts we teach in the mentor program, apply them to the market logically, and then come up with original ideas that maybe we don't think of. Maybe look a bit further afield, maybe look at different sectors or different industries, but come up with your own original ideas, and then that will give us some diversification. Yeah,
and in terms of the FCA, obviously, a lot of this does sort of hang on what the FCA say. And as we wrote in an email a few days ago, it's not just for our benefit; it's for your benefit too, because investing other people's money is a regulated activity. So whilst we may be comfortable giving you money to trade with, we need to make sure that we're not going to get you into any sort of regulatory hot water. So that's something that we need to confirm as well. And that's the situation with the FCA.
And the final thing when it comes to allocating funds is that we actually have to be able to trust you and like you as a person.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to give you our own personal money, so we have to be able to kind of have that rapport with you and that trust, so we're comfortable with you handling our funds.
Yeah.
Okay. The next question is, I'm based in a different time zone. Will I still benefit from the course? I think this goes actually back to the first question.
Yeah.
Essentially, yes. It's all recorded, so you can watch the modules online, and you can kind of take all the information away with you. One of the issues would be, though, is that we have the monthly face-to-face meetups. If you're based in a different time zone, you might find it difficult, obviously, to be there face-to-face. We're willing to kind of log on to Skype and talk to you one-to-one and kind of help you along that way. I think that might offset, the kind of the loss from not being there. But I think that's the only drawback from being in a different time zone.
Yeah, definitely. So you can do it. If you're in a different time zone, it's fine. If you want to stay up till early hours of the morning or do it in the afternoon if you're based in the US, that's fine too. But if you can't do it and you can't make all of the webinars, you still can benefit from looking at the recordings. As I said, every single webinar will be recorded, and of course the face-to-face sessions, the way that we'll get around that is we'll do it over Skype for you. Okay?
Yep. The next question is, what exactly is included in the course and how does it differ from the other strategies?
Okay. Well, first of all, the strategies that we've taught you in terms of like the DAX and the power play and things like that, they're entry techniques. The DAX is a day trading strategy. I think the main thing about this course here is the foundations that we're going to give you. Okay, so once you understand what we're about to teach you in terms of building your trade ideas, looking for the right opportunities, you're actually going to find that your entries, certainly from a longer term perspective, are far less significant than they are now. So you could almost, if you've got the right trade ideas, you can throw a dart at the chart and get in wherever, and you should still be able to come out and make money. In the beginning, when we first came to educating traders, we sat down with some people, publishers and things like that, and we were told that retail traders are just looking for entry and exit strategies. They don't care about what happens before. They don't care about how you come up with the trade idea. They just want to know how you get into a trade and how you get out of a trade. And whilst you can make money doing that, you're going to be far more profitable and you're going to be far more consistent if you have solid fundamental ideas behind your trade. So in answer to the question of what's going to be included, first of all, yes, we will cover intraday trading, absolutely, because I love trading the DAX and I'll never stop doing that. We will cover entries from some of our other strategies, but the important thing to understand here is that that's a very, very small part of the course. Okay, so for example, when it comes to day trading, there are times when you're going to be more profitable day trading than others. When it comes to getting into the markets, if you're getting into a trade in the direction of the fundamental theme, you're going to have a much, much bigger chance of your trade making money, and hence a higher strike rate. So But with all of that said, please don't be afraid. I know people hear fundamentals and they think, oh no, I can't do that. It's going to be too much hard work. But, you know, at the end of the day, one of the reasons it's taken us so long to put this mentoring course together is that we wanted to put this together in such a way that anybody can pick up. So we wanted to structure it almost the same way as you look at technical analysis. So there's a checklist, if you like, that you will go through that will bring you to a trading decision and a trading opportunity. And then once you're there, then you can apply the entry and exit techniques that we teach or that you've learned somewhere else. So I would say that, maybe 10-20% of what we're about to teach you are entry and exit techniques. And some will be similar to what we've shown in other courses. But 80% of the content here is going to be towards identifying the correct opportunities to be in and looking at them at the right time as well. Because once you have that, as I said earlier, the entries and exits are nowhere near as important as most retail traders make them out to be. Okay?
I just want to add to that, as one of the benefits of actually doing a lot of your homework and your groundwork before you get into a trade is that the trade management side of things is far easier. You have far less screen time. What you're doing is you do your analysis first, and then once you're running your positions, you know which way you expect them to go and you know how to run them. So the trade management side, you're spending far less time in front of the screen once you're in the positions.
Yeah, and one more thing here is that, as I said, when we first started out, we understood that retail traders, you're not yourselves, but retail traders generally are looking for the technical setups, the strategy to get into and out of a trade, and that's all they look at. And then you have to look at that statistics of 95% of retail traders fail to ever make any money, which is a shocking statistic. But just think about that for a second. If all retail traders are looking for the same thing and they're all failing, there's kind of a clue there as to why. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. As to why that they're failing. And what we're looking to give you here is so much more than what you're going to get on a forum somewhere or something like that.
Okay, the next question is, so what comes after the 12 weeks?
Okay, so after the 12 weeks, you... obviously, well, first of all, after the 12 weeks, we hope that you'll be self-sufficient. Okay, so everything, the way that we built this up, and the reason that we're obviously selling this for a very big discounted price, to what the regular price is that we're going to be very flexible here. So in terms of if it takes us a little bit more time to get some of the concepts down, then we'll spend that time to do that. Yeah. So ultimately, at the end of the period here, by the time you graduate the course, you should be self-sufficient. So you shouldn't need anything after the 12 weeks.
But that said,
is
what we're thinking about offering after the 12 weeks finish is we're considering providing weekly analysis. So all the analysis concepts we teach you in the program, for a period of time, we'll give that to you so you can kind of see what we're thinking, compare it to your own analysis and make sure you're on the right track. Also, what we're thinking of doing is allowing you access to our watch list. Our watch list is a spreadsheet of all the positions we're thinking of running. Some of them will be in our portfolio live. Others will be waiting to go on. They'll consist of stocks, they'll consist of currencies and commodities. So this will help you build out your own watch list. That's something we're thinking about as a continuation after the program finishes. Yeah,
and actually that's an important point. About the different types of asset classes that we'll be looking at and the different types of trades. This isn't all just about FX. It's not just about commodities. It's about helping you to build a well-balanced portfolio so that you've got exposure to a number of different types of investments, which helps you to diversify your risk. And if you're sitting there thinking, well, I don't have enough money for an equities account or something like that, don't worry. If you can trade CFDs, which I think most people on the planet can do, then you can have access to equities for a lot less than a regular stock trading account would cost you. I think, ideally you want maybe £1,000-ish to start out with. That's what really you'd want as a minimum to be able to trade with. And obviously the more that you have, the more you'll be able to diversify your risk. But by no means do you have to have sort of like a £20,000-30,000 account to be able to benefit from this.
Yep, and the final question is, I have a full-time job and can only work in the evenings. Will this really work for me?
Yeah. Very good question, and one that I think many of you guys will have. And the answer is absolutely. The great thing about this approach to trading is it's very flexible. So it's not one where you need to be sat in front of your screens for 8 hours a day. It's not one where you need to come to your charts at a certain time of day either. So, even if you have to spend half an hour, it doesn't matter when that half an hour is. It could be at any time during the day, because that's the approach to the markets. It's not so much focused on the exact entry at the exact point. It's about coming up with the right trade ideas, with the right foundations, and looking at the right opportunities. And once you have the right opportunities, the entry is, like I said earlier, you could throw a dart at a chart and get in anywhere. And as long as you're using the right risk parameters, which we're going to show you, more often than not, that trade should go in your direction. So the time that you get in, it really doesn't matter. So if you do have a full-time job, don't worry about it. This is perfect for you.
I was going to say is what it also comes down to is time management. If you're determined to do this and you think you're going to benefit from this, you can allocate the hours in a day or the hour in a day you need to do your analysis and to do your homework, and you'll find the time to do it. So it's flexible, like Alex said, in the sense you can choose when you do it, but you do have to do it. There's no kind of, I don't want you to go on, be put under the impression that there's no work to be done. There is work to be done, but you have the ability to choose when you do that work.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's it.
That brings us to the end of our questions. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this has answered your questions there. We're going to be starting the mentoring program on the 4th of November. That's when it all kicks off. So, if you want to get involved, please make sure that you sign up by then. I had a gentleman email in earlier and say that they're going to miss the first session. Will that be okay? Well, as we mentioned earlier, there are going to be access to the recording. So if you find that you can't make the first session or two, that's absolutely fine, because you'll have access to the recordings. But please make sure that you sign up before then, because by the time the 4th of November rolls around, we will close the doors. That will be it in terms of the discount and everything. And that's not any sort of a sales tactic. That's genuinely what the price is and what the price will be. We're selling it for £1,000 at the moment plus VAT, or just under £1,000 plus VAT, because this is the first time that we're launching it, and we want to give you guys the opportunity to get on board before we release it to the general public. The content that we're going to give you is absolutely phenomenal. I promise you of this. If nothing else, by the time you come out at the other side of this, in January, February of next year, you are going to be a very, very confident trader, and you're going to know exactly how to go about putting together your investment portfolios and how to be profitable over a sustained period of time, which is what this is all about.
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you very, very soon. Take care now.